Good morning, students. Students, we started our second part of India Physiographic Division, and that is Northern Plains. Students, we discussed some points regarding Northern Plains, and what are the points? That these Northern Plains, they have been formed, means made by the interplay of three major systems, and the name are the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra, along with their tributaries. So this plain is formed of alluvial soil. You know, alluvial soil means very fertile soil. Why? The soil is very fertile because the rivers, they bring this alluvial soil with them from the mountains, and it's a mixture of sand, silt, and humus. So the soil is very fertile. So the deposition of this alluvium, it is when the rivers, they just come in the foothills of Himalayas, they start depositing this soil, and that is why this fertile plain has been formed. Now students, you will be surprised to know that this plain area, northern plains, they are spread over an area of 7 lakh square kilometer, and they are 2400 kilometer long and 240 kilometer to 320 kilometer broad. If I say, then it's a densely populated physiographic division. Why? Because it has rich soil, adequate water supply, and moreover climate is very favorable, and that is why when all the factors, they are fulfilled, all the reasons are fulfilled, all the terms are fulfilled, that's why this area is very productive part of India, agriculturally very productive part of India. Now let's see which rivers, what the rivers which come in this area, what they do. The rivers, those who come in the northern mountain, come from the northern mountains, they here they involve themselves in depositional work. Means you see that river, they have three courses: upper course, middle course, and lower course. In upper course, what they do? They do erosional activity. Means they erode the things, whatever come in their mind, in their way. Then when they come in the middle course, they start carrying these alluvium with them, and then when they come in the third course, they start depositing this alluvium, and that is why these northern plains have been formed. Okay, now let's move towards the different types of. Now you see, Majuli in the Brahmaputra river is the largest inhabited means where the people they live, riverine island in the world. Now let's move further, students, that when the rivers, they come in their lower course, they split means big, or means moves in numerous channels. Why? Because of deposition of silt, and these channels here, they are known as distributary. So the northern plain is broadly divided into three sections. The first one is the westernmost part of northern plain. It is known as Punjab plain. Why? Because it is formed by river Indus and its tributaries, and the tributaries of river Indus are the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Vyas, and the Satluj. And all these rivers, all these tributaries, they originate from the Himalayas, and this section is dominated by the Doab. Now let's just, the question arises, what do you mean by Doab? Doab is made up of two words. One is do, it means two, and ab means water, means river, water from two rivers. Similarly, Punjab is made up of two words. Panj means five, and ab means water. Now the term is clear in your mind that five rivers are there in Punjab: the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Vyas, and the Satluj. That's why its name is Punjab. Okay, so simple it's. Now students, you know this Ganga plain, it extends between river Ghaggar and Tista, and it spread over the states of North India, Haryana, Delhi, UP, Bihar, some parts of Jharkhand and West Bengal to its east, and that is known as Brahmaputra plains. So the northern plains, they are, if I describe them gently, if just as a whole, if I describe them, they are flat plains and similar variation, no variations are there. Its relief is to some extent similar. These vast plains, they have also diverse relief features according to the variation in relief feature. Relief means different types of soil. The northern plains can be divided into four regions. The rivers, after descending means come out from the mountains, they just, first of all, they start depositing pebbles. Why? Because pebbles are very just big part, and they cannot be just moved for a long duration. So first of all, the pebbles, they start depositing in, and they start in a very narrow belt, and that narrow belt is only 8 kilometer to 16 kilometer width. This narrow belt is known as Bhabar. Okay, now south of, when we come south to this belt, the streams and rivers again, they start re-emerge, and they create a wet, swampy means daldal, and marshy region, and that is known as Tarai. Tarai means that, this word symbolize itself. Tarai means tar, means full of water. So this is known as Tarai. Because here ample water is found, so this is a thickly forested region full of wildlife. Now these forests, they have been cleared somewhere to create agricultural land and to settle migrants. Migrants means the people, those who are coming from other areas, they are known as migrants. And from Pakistan after partition. So now you must have come to know, or you must have heard this word Dudhwa National Park. The largest part of the northern plain is formed of alluvial soil, because rivers, they are coming from the ears, and that is why. The part which is formed earlier by the rivers, that is known as Bangar. They lie above the footplains of rivers and present a terrace-like feature. Why terrace? Because alluvium has been deposited time and again since ages. That's why. So the part which is away from the river bank, it is known as Bangar. Now let's move further. Now you see, the soil in this region contains calcareous deposits, which we locally call as or pronounce as kankar. Opposite to that, the newer younger deposit of the floodplains are called khadar. They are renewed because every year when just rain comes, there is a big volume of water in the rivers, and as well as big volume of silt, and the rivers, they deposit in the layer, so the soil over that area, it get renewed every year, so they are very fertile, and it's ideal for extensive cultivation. So this is the northern plains. Now let's come to the peninsular plateau. Students, earlier we read about it. This peninsular plateau is the oldest landmass of India, and you know, now it is just like a tableland, because the peaks of this plateau, it has been corroded by the weathering or by the rivers, by the winds. So now it is resembled like a tableland. It is composed of old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. How it was formed? It was formed due to the breaking and drifting, earlier we discussed, of the Gondwana land, and thus making it a part of oldest landmass, because Gondwana land was the oldest landmass of the earth. This plateau has broad and shallow valleys and rounded hills. This plateau consists, yes, of two broad divisions, namely the Central Highlands, river above the river Narmada, and the Deccan Plateau. Okay, now let's move further and we'll discuss about these two broad divisions of Peninsular Plateau. Now, the part of Peninsular Plateau lying to the north of river Narmada. River Narmada flows through Madhya Pradesh, the border, just Madhya Pradesh, and above that area it is known as Central Highlands. It covering a major area of Malwa Plateau. Okay, and in the Vindhyachal range is bounded by the Central Highlands on the south and the Aravallis. Aravallis are in Rajasthan, and the Aravallis on the northwest. The further westward, if we go more in the west direction, it gradually merges with the sandy and rocky desert of Rajasthan. Okay, the rivers which flow through these regions are Chambal, the Sindh, the Betwa, and the Ken. They are the main rivers which flow through this area. And the Central Highlands, they are wider in the west but narrower in the east as we go from Madhya Pradesh to Chhattisgarh. They just become narrower. The eastward extension means आगे बढ़ा हुआ area of this plateau are locally known as Bundelkhand and Bhagelkhand. The Chota Nagpur plateau further just move eastward extension, and here it is drained by river Damodar. Okay, now you see a waterfall in Chota Nagpur plateau, because rivers, they just flow through these plateau regions. Now let's move further and we come here. You know, the south part of India, it's a triangular in shape, so this Deccan Plateau is triangular landmass. It lies to the south of river Narmada, and the Satpura range flanks its border. Flanks means cover its border base in the north, while the Mahadev, the Kamur hills and the Makal range, they just cover it from the eastern side. Locate in the map, we will locate these, okay, in the physical map of India. The Deccan Plateau is higher in the west slopes, and it just gently, when it move towards east, it gently slopes down. An extension of this plateau is also visible in the northeast, which we locally known as Meghalaya. Now you see these plateaus, how they cover how much area. Meghalaya, Karbi, Anglong Plateau and North Kachar Hills. It is separated here. It is separated by a fault. Fault means darar in between two hills, two mountain ranges from the Chota Nagpur Plateau. So these prominent means दिखाई देने वाली hill ranges from the west to east, they are known as the Garo, the Khasi and the Jaintia hills in the Meghalaya. All the three hill ranges are in Meghalaya. The western Ghats and the eastern Ghats, you know, mark the western and eastern edge. Edge means kinara of the Deccan Plateau. Okay, the western Ghats lie parallel to the western coast, because here they are just higher also, so they are continuous and can be crossed through passes only. They are continuous hill ranges here, No big faults are there. Only if we want to cross these ranges, so we are to cross through just very uh, congested passes are there, and we can cross through there. Now we will locate the Thal, Bhor and the Pal Ghats in the physical map of India when do. Let us just first complete the chapter. The Western Ghats, they are higher than the Eastern Ghats, and their average elevation means height is 900 to 1600 meters, and Eastern Ghats average height is 600 meters. The Eastern Ghats, they stretch from the Mahanadi Valley to the Nilgiris in the south, and these Eastern Ghats are discontinuous, as Western Ghats are continuous, but these are discontinuous, and they are irregular and dissected by river, because maximum of the rivers, they drain in Bay of Bengal. That is why river draining into Bay of Bengal. So Western Ghats, they cause orographic rain by facing the rain bearing moist winds, because they are high in altitude in there, so they just, the rain winds which come from the Arabian Sea, they strike to the Western Ghats and they cause heavy rainfall. So these Western Ghats, they are known by different local names. Okay, the highest peak in these Western Ghats, its name is Anaimudi, and its height is 2695 meter. And then one more is there, Doda Beta, and its height is 2667 meters. And the highest mountain peak or peak in the Eastern Ghat is Mahendragiri, and its height is 1501 meter. Okay, now let's move further. The Sivroi Hills and the Javadi Hills, they are located to the southeast of Eastern Ghat. We will locate the famous hill stations of Udga Mandalam, which we popularly known as Ooty, and Kodaikanal. We will locate all these things. Now this is all for today. Thank you.